Imagine stepping up to bat and like knowing exactly where the ball is going to bounce, down to the millimeter.
Right, like you already know the playbook.
Exactly. You know the pitch. The guy throwing it has literally told the entire world what he's going to do, and yet you are mathematically guaranteed to fail.
Which is just, I mean, it's wild to think about.
It really is. You are going to make a mistake, and you are going to lose. So today we are looking at a man who turned pure, boring predictability into, well, arguably the deadliest weapon in sports history.
Yeah, it's a great topic.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are profiling an Australian sports icon, Glenn McGrath, and we're going to reverse engineer the anatomy of true mastery.
And if you're not a cricket fan, definitely stick around.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You don't need to know cricket for this. We're really just using his career as a masterclass in how relentless precision, psychological warfare, and just absolute discipline can dismantle any challenge in any field.
It is a totally fascinating case study because, we inherently equate greatness with spectacle, right?
Yeah, like the flashy stuff.
Exactly. We want the heavyweight knockout or the physics-defying sprint. But McGrath offered the exact opposite of that.
Right.
He offered a completely different, almost terrifying type of mastery, the kind that doesn't blow the door down, but just relentlessly, quietly picks the combination lock until it inevitably just clicks open.
Yes. Okay, let's unpack this because I am so excited to look past his staggering raw numbers and really examine the strategic mindset that allowed him to stay at the absolute pinnacle of international sport for, well over a decade.
Yeah, it was an incredibly long run.
So let's start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Windsor, New South Wales. Glenn McGrath was born there on February 9th, 1970.
Right, a country kid?
Yeah. Grew up a country kid in a super cricket-loving family. He went through the standard progression, local clubs, school teams, eventually breaking into representative cricket for New South Wales. But when you look at his early days, there was no, sudden explosive discovery of a once-in-a-generation talent.
No, not at all.
Because in the world of fast bowling, teenage kids usually just want to bowl as fast as humanly possible, right? They want to be intimidating.
Oh, absolutely. They want to break the batsman's toes.
Right. But McGrath was doing something entirely different.
He really was. He was building a foundation of just pure accuracy. What's fascinating here is that the regional selectors didn't notice him because he was terrifyingly fast or because he had, a bag of wild, flashy tricks.
Right. They noticed him because he could consistently deliver these accurate, challenging deliveries.
Exactly. Because fast bowling, it requires this incredibly complex sequence of biomechanics.
Yeah, it looks exhausting.
Oh, it is. And to repeat that action identically over and over, it takes a level of obsessive dedication that most teenagers simply do not possess.
It totally makes me think of a musician learning an instrument.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Right, because everyone wants to immediately learn how to shred a crazy guitar solo because it looks cool to the audience.
Yeah, they want to skip to the fun part.
Exactly. But McGrath was the kid in the corner just practicing his scales up and down over and over, mastering the boring, repetitive mechanics until they became entirely second nature.
Yes.
He was playing the long game before he even reached the professional level.
Mastering those scales means you can eventually play anything.
Right.
That foundational discipline paid off incredibly fast for him. He made his international test match debut in 1993 against New Zealand.
And Test cricket, just for context for the listener, is the longest, most grueling format of the game, right? It can last up to 5 days.
5 whole days, yeah. And his impact was immediate. He exploited the pitch conditions using that deeply ingrained accuracy we were just talking about.
So he didn't, try to reinvent himself for the international stage.
No, not at all. He just brought his scales to the biggest concert hall.
I love that. And that debut really set the stage for his real breakthrough, which came during the 1994-95 Ashes series against England.
Oh, the Ashes, yeah.
Yeah, and for anyone unfamiliar with the sport, the Ashes is essentially the Super Bowl of cricket, but it's played as a multi-game series steeped in over a century of bitter rivalry.
The pressure is unbelievable.
It is a total cauldron. Stepping into that environment as a relatively new player usually breaks people.
Yes, it destroys careers.
But instead, McGrath used his methodical approach to take crucial wickets and basically secure an Australian victory. He went from being a promising new prospect to an absolute weapon almost overnight.
Yeah, the 1994-95 Ashes served as his proof of concept.
Right.
It demonstrated that a disciplined, methodical approach Wasn't just effective in, low-stakes regional matches.
It worked on the big stage.
Exactly. It proved he could dismantle top-tier international batsmen when the psychological pressure was at its absolute peak.
Okay, so let's get into the actual mechanics of that dismantling, because long-term dominance requires a signature technique, and his statistics they're absurd.
They really are.
Over his career, he took over 560 test wickets. He is one of the highest wicket takers in the history of the sport.
Yeah, an absolute legend.
We are talking about legendary, suffocating performances. Like, in 1999, he took 8 wickets while giving up only 24 runs against Pakistan.
Unbelievable.
And in 1997, he took 7 wickets for 15 runs against England. I mean, giving up 15 or 24 runs while taking that many wickets is just statistical annihilation.
It is, and the engine behind that annihilation was his absolute mastery of what is known in cricket as line and length.
Line and length.
Yeah, that phrase is basically the defining mantra of his entire career.
Okay, break the mechanics of that down for me. What does that actually look like on the pitch?
So line refers to the horizontal direction of the delivery, so like how far to the left or right of the batsman it travels.
Okay, got it.
And length refers to the distance down the pitch where the ball bounces before it actually reaches the batsman.
Right.
So McGrath's signature technique was bowling a fiercely consistent line and length, specifically targeting an area on or just a tiny bit outside the off stump.
And the stumps are those 3 wooden targets the batsman is trying to defend, right?
Yeah. Hold on, let me stop you there, because this is where the logic starts to break down for me.
Okay, what do you mean?
If he is constantly aiming for the exact same spot, this specific area, just outside the off stump, over and over again, shouldn't the batsman eventually just adapt?
You would think so, right?
Yeah. Like, if I know exactly where the pitch is going to bounce, I should be able to set my feet, wind up, and just hit it out of the park. It feels like he is handing his opponents his playbook.
I know. It sounds completely counterintuitive. You'd assume predictability equals vulnerability.
Right.
But McGrath turned predictability into a psychological straitjacket. Let's look at the physics of the sport for a second.
Okay.
That specific spot, on or just outside the off stump on a good length, is basically the zone of maximum uncertainty.
Why is it so uncertain?
Because if the batsman chooses to leave the ball alone and not swing, the ball might just clip the edge of the wooden stump and they are out.
Oh, wow. Okay. But if they do swing at it, they might hit it poorly, catch the edge of the bat, and pop it up to a fielder, and they are out.
So they are forced to engage with it every single time under the threat of immediate failure.
Every single time.
It's like a tennis player repeatedly hitting the exact same deep corner of the baseline. They aren't trying to hit a 130-mile-per-hour ace to blow past you.
Right.
They are forcing you to sprint to the edge of the court on every single volley, returning difficult shots until your legs give out, your form collapses, and you hit the ball into the net.
That captures the psychological warfare perfectly.
Wow.
Now add one more mechanical detail to this.
Okay, lay it on me.
A cricket ball have a pronounced raised seam of stitching that runs right around its circumference.
Like a baseball, but raised.
Yes, exactly. And McGrath had this incredibly subtle ability to keep his wrist perfectly upright upon release,
Okay.
which meant the ball would bounce right on that raised seam. And when a hard letter ball hits a hard pitch directly on its seam, it deviates.
Meaning it bounces left or right.
Yes, but only slightly. We're talking maybe an inch or two.
Really? Just an inch?
Yeah, but the batsman doesn't know which way it's going to dart until the very last millisecond.
Oh, man.
So out of his hand, it looks identical every single time. It lands in the exact same high-stress zone every time. But the final trajectory is completely unpredictable.
Because the margin of error is basically 0, the batsman has to make a split-second decision.
Exactly. McGrath didn't have to bowl unhittable magic deliveries. He just relentlessly put the ball in a spot that forced the batsman into high-stakes decision-making over and over until mental fatigue caused a mistake.
It was a strategy of forced errors through pure patience.
Pure patience.
That is just brilliant. It is an endurance contest masked as a physical competition.
Absolutely.
But this brings us to a massive complication.
Okay, what's that?
Being highly disciplined with one specific technique is great, but international cricket is played all over the world, under vastly different rules and conditions. Let's talk about the adaptability paradox.
Ah, yes. Because the conditions in cricket dictate the flow of the game more than almost any other sport.
Right. He had to adjust his strategy between incredibly diverse environments. I mean, he played on the flat, hard tracks of Australia.
Right.
He played in the seaming conditions of England. And he played on the notoriously challenging spin-friendly pitches of the subcontinent, like in India or Pakistan.
So different from each other.
Completely. And on top of that, he wasn't just playing 5-day test matches. He was a massive impact player in one-day internationals, or ODIs, helping Australia win the 1999 and 2003 Cricket World Cups.
To fully grasp the scale of that adaptability, we have to look at how those environments actually change the physics of the ball.
Right, because it's not just a change of scenery?
No, not at all. On a flat, hard track in Australia, the ball bounces true and straight. It is a paradise for the batsman.
Okay.
But in England, the moisture in the air and the softer pitches cause the ball to seam or, dart around erratically in the air and off the pitch.
And what about the subcontinent?
In the subcontinent, the pitches are often dry, dusty, and they crack easily. They are built for bowlers who spin the ball slowly, which makes life absolutely miserable for fast bowlers who rely on pace and bounce.
Wow. Okay, so returning to the music analogy, it's like we have an award-winning classical violinist who plays with absolute strict precision in a concert hall, suddenly jumping into a smoky dive bar and perfectly anchoring a chaotic high-speed jazz improvisation.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
How does someone whose entire identity is rooted in rigid consistency adapt to such wildly different physical conditions?
Here's where it gets really interesting. By understanding that true adaptability doesn't mean inventing a new skill from scratch.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, McGrath didn't abandon his foundational mechanics. He just shifted his strategic application.
Like how?
Well, on a flat track in Australia where the ball won't dart around, he used his accuracy to simply dry up the runs.
Just bore them to death.
Basically. He would bowl so consistently that the batsman just couldn't score. Eventually, frustration would set in, the batsman would try to force a hit, and they would make a mistake.
Right.
But in England, the environment does the work for you because the ball naturally moves around in the air there. He just had to hit that zone of uncertainty and let the English weather create the chaos.
That's so smart. And what about the shift in formats? Because a 5-day test match is a marathon of mental endurance. A one-day international is completely different.
Oh, it's night and day.
Yeah, you have a strictly limited number of throws for the whole team. The pressure to score quickly is frantic. The batsman is taking massive, high-risk swings.
In a one-day international, the chaos is elevated for sure, but the solution remains exactly the same.
Really?
Yeah. When the opposing team is desperate to score quickly and taking huge risks, a fast bowler who can put the ball exactly where he wants it is invaluable.
Ah, I see.
McGrath didn't invent a new, flashy way to bowl for ODIs. He just deployed his mastery of line and length to starve the batsman of easy scoring opportunities.
Under the pressure of a ticking clock.
Yes. His suffocating accuracy forced even more dramatic errors. He applied his deepest, most practiced strength to a completely new set of rules.
I want to pivot here because adapting to a physical pitch or a ticking clock is one thing, but maintaining the mental resilience to survive the grueling reality of professional sports is another entirely.
Yeah, it's brutal.
The phrase shadow leader comes to mind. Glenn McGrath was never the official captain of the Australian team, but his leadership was undeniable.
Oh, absolutely.
He mentored younger fast bowlers, sharing the strategic architecture we just broke down.
And, mentorship is easy when you are winning.
True.
What makes McGrath's locker room presence so profound is the context of his career. It was not a smooth, unbroken line of triumph.
Right, because fast bowling is tough on the body.
It is a biomechanical nightmare. The sheer force exerted on the ankles, knees, and lower back every time the front foot slams into the turf is immense. McGrath battled severe injuries throughout his career.
He also went through significant form slumps, and the Australian sports media is famously ruthless.
Oh, they do not hold back.
No. When an elite player stops taking wickets, the public scrutiny is intense. There are calls for them to be dropped from the team, stripped of their legacy, the whole 9 yards.
Which brings up an interesting paradox about leadership.
Exactly my thought. Because it feels super counterintuitive.
How so?
Well, if a guy's body is breaking down, his numbers are dropping, and the media is calling for his head, you would think he'd be the absolute last guy a young rookie wants to take advice from.
Right.
How do you maintain authority in the locker room when you are publicly failing?
By not hiding from the failure.
Okay, say more about that.
Well, if you are a young player coming into an international squad, and your mentor is a guy who has never been hurt, never failed, and never been criticized, what can he actually teach you about survival?
That's a really good point.
McGrath's authority didn't come from being invincible. It came from his real-time demonstration of resilience.
He was showing them the unglamorous reality of the job.
Yes. When he was injured or in a slump, he didn't isolate himself. He showed the younger players how to strap up their boots, hit the gym, analyze the take, and just grind through the physical pain and the mental noise.
Wow.
He was teaching them that an international sports career is essentially a battle of psychological endurance. You are going to get injured. You are going to get hammered by the press.
It's unavoidable.
Exactly. The defining metric of a professional is how diligently you work to return to peak form after a disaster.
And that level of psychological endurance, the ability to just grind through physical pain and relentless scrutiny, doesn't just turn off when you retire.
No, it's wired into who you are.
When McGrath left the pitch in 2007, he took that exact same blueprint and applied it to a completely different set of problems.
The transition out of elite athletics is notoriously difficult,
So many players lose their identity.
They do. But McGrath channeled his analytical mindset directly into new arenas. He became a television commentator, breaking down the mechanics and strategy of the game for a global audience. He continued coaching.
But the most significant chapter of his life after the pitch is arguably the McGrath Foundation.
Yeah, absolutely.
He established a major charity dedicated to supporting breast cancer awareness and funding specialist breast care nurses to support affected families across Australia.
It's a huge undertaking.
It is. Building a massive structural charity requires navigating a labyrinth of logistics, fundraising, and long-term planning.
And notice how the architecture of his character transfers across domains.
Like from the pitch to philanthropy.
Exactly. The exact same traits that made him a terror to batsmen appraising. The patience, the clear vision, the refusal to look for quick gimmicks, and the relentless follow-through are what make a person effective in building a lasting philanthropic institution.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
You don't build a major foundation without deeply understanding how to play the long game. You essentially apply line and length consistency to fundraising and structural growth.
His legacy isn't just a number in a record book. He fundamentally redefined the standard of his craft, proving that surgical discipline could outmatch raw physical speed.
Yes.
And then he leveraged the immense global platform that his discipline built to create a tangible, positive impact on society.
Which leaves us with a really powerful blueprint.
It does.
Whether you are navigating a complex corporate project, trying to master a new skill, or just trying to survive a brutal week, the mechanics of mastery are largely the same.
Right.
It requires a foundational commitment to repetitive discipline, focusing on your own line and length until your accuracy becomes a tool you can rely on blindly.
And it requires the flexibility to adapt, not by throwing away your core strengths when the environment changes, but by figuring out how your deepest skill applies to the new rules. And it requires the vulnerability to lead through resilience, using your own setbacks as a masterclass in survival for the people around you.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, throughout this dive, we focused heavily on physical mechanics.
Yeah, the seam of the ball, the grip, the pitch conditions.
Right. But looking at how he navigated debilitating injuries, intense public scrutiny, and the immense undertaking of building a philanthropic legacy, you really have to wonder.
Wonder what?
Perhaps his greatest tool wasn't his throwing arm at all. Perhaps his real genius was just his psychological endurance.
Wow.
How much of what we casually call talent in the people we admire is actually just the quiet, unglamorous refusal to quit when things get hard?
That is such a great point. It's the willingness to show up, hit the exact same spot on the baseline over and over again, and just let the pressure do the work.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you take a little bit of that McGrath precision and apply it to whatever challenges you are tackling today. Keep picking the lock, and we'll see you next time.